Okay, so we're working on taking a mock-up and using Bootstrap to sort of create this template layout. Now, one of the things I did in the last video demonstration I did is I just worked a lot of styling of the header. So what I'm going to do this time is I'm not going to worry about the styles. I really want to focus on creating our grids and our grid elements. And so I really want to focus on that. So we've already kind of got the header. I pretty much like it. There's little changes I could do, make the little buttons a little more rounded, a little farther apart, whatever. I can do that later. I really want to focus on rapidly getting my grids set up. So the first thing I want to show you is we're going to look at this section here, and I'll see how quickly I can get that. Now, because it all has the same background color, I want to show you how you can have a variety of different divs, each one have its own like grid setup. And so we're going to use one row for all of this blue section here. And if you look here, it's got 1, 2, 3 sort of subsections of that. And I'll show you how you can do that in one row, and then you can decide if you want to do it one row or if you want to break that into 3 rows. But for now, I'm just going to do it as one row. I'm going to make this, I'm going to use the section tag for this. And for this is kind of a, it's almost like a call to action sort of section here. So I might just give this a class of call to action. I won't worry so much about what I call it. For now, I'm just going to crank out this sort of general layout. So I'm going to go back to my browser over here. I told you I'm creating a section. Now, I just want to remind you, the outermost div is a container, and everything needs to be inside of there. So when I'm done with the header, I can just collapse that header and then start working here. I'm not going to give this section a class yet. Okay. And one of the things I'm going to do is go ahead and create a div with a class of row. Okay, so once I have a div with a class of row, now what I'm going to proceed to do is create these different layouts. This lorem ipsum right in the center is pretty much centered text. It looks a little to the right, but I'm not going to be that nitpicky about this at this point. If anything, I would think it should be centered. Now, you got a couple options here. You can just style it centered, and that's probably your best bet. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a div that's going to take up the full width. And then the next, after that one, I'm going to do 2 divs that each split up the space in half. And then I'll have another one that has sort of 3 grids, 1 half here, and this other half will be split in half, or we'll maybe drop a little bit of a spacer right in here. Okay, so that's how we're going to do it. So we're going to make everything with our class. It's going to be a call MD for medium-sized device. And we could style it for small or extra small later if we want to. In this case, we're going to make it 12. We're going to make it fill out the row. And I'm going to put a header 2 here. I already have a header 1 in my header. And then it's just the lorem ipsum. Notice, this div takes up the full width, so I give it a call of MD12. 12 plus nothing equals 12, so that will fill the row. Then I'm going to do 2 other divs. These will each have a class of call MD6. And what that does is the 2 columns of 6 add up to 12, so each of these will be evenly split. So I'll grab a list in just a moment and an image just after that. Now, if I'm going to rough out these spots here, I need to add some actual content or else you won't be able to see them. So I'm just going to do a little lorem ipsum. I'm going to use fillerama.io, and we'll use just a list, unordered list, and I'll use Monty Python the Holy Grail for that list. Oh, maybe that was a different show. And these should each be on their own line, so I'll break this up. So there's our list item. And let me get an image. I'm going to go to a place called placehold.it or placeholdit. And you can actually grab your images and space them out whatever size you need. And so we are just going to copy that image tag there. And since that image tag is going to go inside of a div, all the layout should be fine for that. I'm going to save our changes and let's see what it looks like now. All right, a couple things. This is looking okay, except for my grid now fills up the whole space. So what I need to do is add some of the gutters that I had on my other style here. So I'm just going to add a little class equals gutters. And now it should look a little bit more normal. There we go. Okay, so let's go back and compare how we got it so far. So notice we got the lorem ipsum, and it doesn't fill out the whole space, so it's not centered. So we'll center that later. But you can see after we have a little bullet list, and then we have an image. And so all in all, the layout's pretty good. So we're just going to keep working on the next item will be a little paragraph and 2 buttons. I'm going to split this up. Now, because these all sort of fit in a row, one of the things you'll notice is if all of your call MD numbers add up, every time they add up to 12, the next div begins the next row. So we can keep going to the call MD, and we can do a 6 again. And then we just need a paragraph of text. So I'm going to go back to the Fillerama and grab a paragraph. Save my changes. See what it's looking like now. Notice how this next paragraph is under that image. One of the things that we're having a little bit of an issue with is padding. We should probably have some padding around some of this stuff. So keep that in mind. You might need to add other elements that have padding on there. Remember, that's a medium 6. The next 2 divs should add up to 6. So what we can do here, excuse me, wrong spot. I can create 2 more divs. So we'll call MD3. And we'll copy and paste that again. Save our changes. We need to add 2 little buttons in here. We're going to use Bootstrap for the buttons. So I go to Get Bootstrap, and I'm looking for buttons. It should be under CSS, I believe. Buttons. Here we go. And we have a couple different buttons with their colors. Let's see what colors we're dealing with. One is dark background. The other has a yellow. Primary has the darkest we've got. We could use that. Or later on, you can style your own if you want to. I'm going to copy that. Put that in the first one. And we'll do the warning in the next. Save our changes. Go back here, hit refresh. And now, so like I said, the only thing that we're having some issues with are padding. We're going to need to add some padding to sort of style these a little bit. The other thing is, remember I was talking about adding a little section here. So one of the things you can do a thing called an offset. We can do an offset here. And so what we would need to do is we would need to break these 2 up, make them a little bit smaller, like MD2, MD2. This, we can extend this a little bit if we want, or we can add the following. Call MD offset 2, I believe is how you do that. We'll check in just a moment if that doesn't work, and it does. So now we're getting a little closer. As you can see, the 2 buttons. And, you know, we can play around with that. That offset was too much. I think an offset of 1 would be a better bet. But now our MDs are messed up a little bit here. Let's try scaling this back a little bit here. See if that looks any better. And now these are not offset enough. So a lot of this is just trial and error. Let's see if we just play around with this a little bit. We'll try this. So the offset lets you move everything over a little bit. These buttons probably should be larger. Let's see if that works any better. The buttons didn't get any larger. All right, but you get the idea. So what you really want to do is you want to just go through, drag and drop, and get just some standard content in here. Make use of sites like Lorem Ipsum. Make use of any Bootstrap items you have. And we can continue doing this for the remainder. Before I wrap up this video, I want to show one other thing. If you use the Atom browser, take a look at this. You can click Open Installer, and you can search for Bootstrap. And there's already one right there. I just wanted to show you how I do that. Atom Bootstrap 3. I'm going to click Install. It will have Bootstrap 3 support with snippets auto completion. So this will allow me, when I'm doing my Bootstrap, it'll know what I'm working on. So if I go back here, and I wanted to do another div, yeah, look at that. Call XS, call SM, call MD, call LG, carousel. A lot of these are based on Bootstrap, and I think that's what that B might be for. So Atom browser is a great one to use if you're going to be doing Bootstrap.